is the problem I'm going to be talking about. Quite simple, I would say, compared to others that have appeared here. It's introduced by several people, Arkin and other people from the group at last year conference. And it's like this. So you are given n points in the plane. Sorry, n pairs of points, and you would like a cycle that separates them, which means that for each pair, one of the points is, doesn't matter which one, has my side of the cycle, let's say on the boundary. It's not my preference which version I consider, strictly inside or on the boundary and for the boundary and or inside. So here is an example with 4 pairs and a cycle from the shortest one is that separates it. So you can see from each pair, which will see of the points on the boundary and one is inside. So some motivation I want to insist about it. It's from the area of data storage and retrieval in basically central networks, like where each data is fetched to 2 different places, and then a mobile user seeking data of particular type, I can issue a query, and then if the query travels along the cycle that separates or a pair of points to allow the retrieval of the data of interest. So, but I think it's also a quite simple problem, and it has it has merits on its own. You know, we'd like to see how to solve it, but as you will see, well, we are very far from it. So they have shown, the authors that they have introduced it, they have shown that it's hard to approximate. We did a factor of 136 unless p equivalent p, and we did a factor of 2 assuming some stronger situation, the unique game conjecture. And they essentially gave for the general case, okay, one can look at special cases that are somehow easier, for instance, external segments or segments confined to some smaller board. But for the general case, that is what they found, roughly square root of approximation. So some observations. So whenever I saw these problems, so then I mean this problem, I thought, okay, so their pairs. So I thought, could they have common endpoints? And then what I immediately see is that if you have some let's say this triangle, so 3 pairs, you could not have this equation. You can't separate them, right? Because if let's say this one is inside the cycle, then the other 2 should be outside, but then you can't separate that pair. So both cycle would not allow that. Then, of course, one would look at their algorithm. So I try to see, to generalize this to graphs and hypergraphs. Right? It's very, very natural. Then, if one looks at their algorithm, they also use, it won't extend. It won't extend, we'll see. Now, for instance, for hypergraph, how would you define this? Or a graph or hypergraph? So here, again, from each edge, you would like to have, each edge should have points outside, at least 1 point outside, and at least 1 point inside. So you basically have to look at hypergraph with no single-term edges to be able to do that. So looking at it because their algorithm does like this, it starts by computing a minimum size square, or one could do a minimum parameter axis per rectangle, so some container Q containing at least 1 point from each pair. And then it computes a constant factor approximation of the shortest cycle of the points contained in Q in the form of simple polygon. And then you can refine that to a separating cycle with a small increasing length. So for instance, in this situation there, where you have how many 4 pairs, you will find that rectangle, let's say, that is smallest, yes, and you somehow, yeah, can change a little bit that rectangle to include you know, only one of the points from that vertical pair. But this idea won't work if you look at other examples. For instance, this one on the right with 4 points and 3 pairs, because your rectangle would be very small here, and then you won't be able to separate. So the shorter cycle is actually this one here. So it's nothing confined to that small thing that you compute, the container blocks. Now, you know, where does this square root of n come from? This comes from old result, maybe an upper bound. You know, how long is the length of the minimum spanning tree, let's say, or path of n points in a unit square? That was answered, so in 55. It's around square root of n. Yeah, people have worked even on the, you know, all the terms there, the multiplicative one, well, that is one is 1, but the additive one. So it's roughly square root of n. And one can generalize the result in the plane to 3D, then you will need a bound like this. So for instance, in 3 dimensions, it's going to be roughly at 2/3, but I won't discuss that because I won't have time. So suppose you have a geometric hypergraph that in the plane, let's say, that you want to separate, and then one can prove the following, I mean, quite simple situation, characterization, that H of is a separating cycle if and only if H is 2 colorable. Right, so one application is very simple. If it admits a separating cycle, you can assign one color, let's say red, to those points enclosed by the cycle, and those that are outside the cycle blue. So you have a 2 color. So each edge, no edge is going to be monochromatic, right? So in that sense, edge is 2 color. No edge is monochromatic. Here is an example of separating cycle. The other direction, suppose you have a coloring such as no edge is monochromatic, then you can compute in some simple way a separating cycle. So in this example there, you have 3 pairs, and one edge is that shaded triangle, and suppose it's colored like this. Then you can compute a mean spanning tree of the red points, which is going to be non-crossing, but there could be blue points in their edges, and then you can avoid those. You can replace each such edge, suppose, so this would be a mean spanning tree, and then you can perturb that bottom edge there a little bit to avoid the blue point. You're going to get also, I mean, some spanning structure of the red points, and then you can transform it to a cycle that only contains the red points on the boundary or inside. So this is the characterization. Now you can get, among others, this corollary that because hypergraph corollary can be complete, you also can get some, I mean, consequence for separating cycles also and be complete. But as I mentioned, there are other results that are from last time's problem. So now is the extension for the result, how to extend it. I mean, one obtained for geometric graph, right? So we take a geometric graph, and a separating cycle can be computed in whatever n plus log n time, and square root of n approximation can be found also efficiently, let's say. But kind of separating cycle, you already saw from the previous slides how to compute it. So essentially, here the second part more interesting, how to do this relatively weak approximation is based on this lemma. Very simple, that if you have a connected bipartite graph, then you essentially don't have any colorings. You just have one, or the you flipped it or root this through the glass. Right? So for the first part, which was just to compute the separating cycle, you can use test if your input is bipartite. If not, it's infeasible, and then you have this coloring, red and blue, and make a place tree for the red points and proceed as before. So now for the square root of n approximation in the length, we start in the same way. We test the graph of bipartiteness for bipartiteness, and then we have this coloring, red and blue coloring for each connected component. Right, Bi equals Ri union Pi. Then each component has a unique coloring apart from the color flip. And then essentially in a similar way, well, instead of guessing some box like they did for the algorithm for the graph, for the situation where the edges are disconnected, when the graph is a matching, but we can do a similar approach in the sense that we're going to guess, or try all of them, to guess the diameter of the optimal separating cycle. Because as you saw, it's polygonal. So we can try all n over n choose two heads of points, and one of them is going to be correct. Some iterations will be abandoned earlier in such a computation. Suppose we have the iteration in which the guess is correct. Let's assume that we have this pair AB at distance 1. Then, of course, that's the diameter of OP, so the next of OP is at least 2. Then we can have this rectangle Q, based on AB that has height square root of 3 over 2 on each side, so total height square root of 3. And then everything, basically opt is contained in this Q. We have some kind of estimate of where the solution lies. And then we have these components. For instance, in this example, we have 3 components, right? 3 connected components. There's one edge, one with 2 edges, and one with multiple edges. And we know if these are correct, then essentially, one of the color classes should be inside this rectangle. So what does it do? The algorithm essentially for each component, it checks this containment condition. If a component is found where neither of the two classes is in Q, the algorithm abandons that iteration, that pair AB. And if, let's say, the red points are in Q, then you leave it as it is. Otherwise, suppose the blue ones are inside Q sorry, here should be R, and the red ones are not, then you flip it. So that, let's say at the end, all red points are inside Q. And then you proceed as before, computing at, let's say, minimum spanning tree of the red points, like there. and then convert it like we saw for separating cycle. Yeah, so you'll get like that. This would be let's see, maybe the optimum or some example. Right. So this is the algorithm, and the length of the tree, as you see, it's you don't have more than n points inside the queue, so the spanning tree will not have length more than big of square root of n, and obviously opt is at least, I mean, as you saw, 2. Yes, and here is I put some example is actually their example from last year. Some example which is the cycle is very simple. For instance, that all these are huge number of pairs. All are parallel like this. So you can choose to include the left-hand point from each one in a square. And suppose their left point there make a grid. If you use if you use their algorithm or this algorithm, you're going to get a very expensive cycle that will essentially visit or go into the vicinity of each of those points and points in a unit square. Right, so it's going to be square root of n times more. So yes, here is some extension, but I won't discuss it, and I'm just going to finish here.
Any questions?
Could you at least say what you established that you do?
Yes, it's basically the bound just changes to I mean, the approximation is the worst in the sense that can go to terms. Yes. Yes. So it's quite interesting to work, at least in the plane, to see some better approximation in the general case. Because in special cases here, you can there are things that be done, but in the general case, it's nice to see what you can be one or something.
Other question? In that case, and there's a break until the open forum session at 3 o'clock.